All right, now is your chance to become a pro at growing orchids. We're in the Trail Appliances kitchen. We're talking about the Orchid Fair, which is this weekend. And here to talk about it is president of the Orchid Society of Alberta, Dean Chesterman. Good morning, Dean.
Good morning.
I think you dress appropriately as well. We appreciate it. You're on brand. Let's talk about the Orchid Fair. It's been around for 45 years now. Yes. How has it evolved and changed over the years?
Well, it started out as basically half of a gym, and we've grown to the point now we're in the Enjoy Center in St. Albert, and it's a beautiful place for orchids because it's got all natural light, and the guys just love it for displaying their orchids and for the vendors to show off their orchids.
For sure. What kind of crowds are you seeing these days?
We've typically seen anywhere from 200 to 2,500 people coming through the door.
It's a lot of people that love orchids.
It is.
Yeah. You brought some orchids here for us today and just some samples. Tell us about your collection and maybe give us some tips on which are the easier ones to grow for some people at home who want to start.
Okay, well, this is a Phalaenopsis hybrid right here, and this is typically the one you find in a lot of big box stores and stuff like that, and commercial growers. It's probably the easiest one for people to start with because it does very well in most people's houses.
Okay.
The only thing special about it is don't overwater it. Most people kill their orchids by watering it too much, so water once a week, fertilize very lightly, and make sure it gets a little bit of a cool off at night. It needs to cool off about 6 degrees to set the blooms.
Okay, so let's talk about the medium you're using here, though. I see that if we can zoom in and see that it doesn't look like there's soil. Is there soil underneath or no?
There's never soil on orchids.
Okay, so what are you using here as a medium?
What I've got here is I've got basically big bark chips similar to this, up to about here, and then these clay pellets on top to stop the bark chips from floating out while I water.
Okay, now is that because you're trying to mimic the environment that an orchid would grow in?
That's exactly why.
Okay.
Most orchids grow on trees, or there are terrestrial orchids that grow on the ground, but they grow in the top layer of mulch. All orchids want air to their roots, and so that's why people kill them. They flood them too much, they get no air to their roots, and then the roots start to rot.
Yeah, so water isn't always a good thing, right?
No, a good thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, my orchid looks like this. It's kind of dead looking for a lot of the year.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, how do you know it's still thriving, even though there's some tendrils that kind of look like you should be trimming them off?
Never trim anything off of an orchid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one is particularly one of those ones where it blooms on the old canes. So these are new growth with the leaves. They grow this year. Next year, the leaves will fall off like this, and then they will bloom. So if you cut all the dead canes off, you cut all your blooms off, so you don't want to do that. Yeah.
Do you think everybody can grow orchids?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Everyone can grow orchids. There's 30,000 species. There's 300,000 hybrids. There's always a type of orchid that will do well in anyone's place. Basically, if you come to the show, we have people walking around. You ask questions. We can tell you where to go and what to get for your space. I have a friend that likes to keep his house really, really hot. There's orchids that grow in really, really hot conditions. So it's a matter of what conditions do you have in your home? What are the right orchids to fit for your space?
For sure. What else can we do at the Orchid Fair besides marveling at these amazing plants?
Well, the show is split up into 2 sections. The display section, which is generally local growers and breeders that are growing their orchids and putting on a big display. And it's judged by the American Orchid Society, so you can actually, there's a prize-winning display.
Amazing, amazing. Okay.
And then we have a half of it, which is vendors, and it's foreign vendors. We've got some people from Taiwan, from Ecuador, and local vendors that are selling their orchids. And then we also have a display, vendors display table, and we have membership tables, and we have potting demonstrations. So if you buy an orchid from the show, you don't know what to do with it, come to the potting demonstration. We'll show you how to repot it.
Excellent. And Dean, thank you so much for everything you've shown us today as well. Remember, the Orchid Fair runs April 4th to the 6th. You can head to orchidsalberta.org for more information.